Hi guys, Pat Crane here. Welcome inside my dining room and now the kitchen. This time around, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking a look at you guys, about your specific needs. Most of you guys are hobbyists. You don't necessarily have a ton to spend. So let's take a look at planning and budget and how you can actually plan your tech over the course of time, right? So we'll take a look at planning, we'll take a look at budget, and we'll see how your equipment right now can work for you. So let's go inside the studio. I want to show you guys something that's been with me for a long, long time. This is the Audio-Technica 335, and it has been with me since I was 16 years old. So it's been with me for longer than I care to tell you guys, a couple of decades. But this thing, as you can see on the screen, right? It's beat up, it has been loved, it has been used, and it is kind of, doesn't look all that snazzy. And I have like a little windscreen that I have for it too. And when I put the windscreen on it, it looks even derpier. The moral of the story is you gotta start somewhere. I started with this. Where are you gonna start? And are you still gonna, wherever you start with your tech, is that gonna get you where you wanna go in the future? And are you still gonna have it around after 20 years? This is gonna be a show about spending smart and trying to make sure that we are using tech as a tool to get you where you want to go. I want to talk to you about your show, okay? People will forgive bad tech. They will, as long as the content is there. Content is king in podcasting, okay? Content is going to be the thing that launches your show into the public. Content needs to be there. And people can forgive bad tech, but you need to have a show. You need to have a solid show. So please, concentrate on your show. The tech is what is the tool that you use to get there. So let's talk a little bit about budget, and let's talk a little bit about wise buys. Now, wise buys are purchases that make sense for your studio, for the future of your studio, not just for where you're at right now, but for the future of your studio. So, for this episode, we're not going to try to spend a lot of money, so I'm going to go through some different budgets and talk about what you might want to be looking at when we talk about the dollar amounts that are available. Let's kick it off at $100, somewhere around $100. Now, the first thing is, let's say you're using a headset mic. So you just plugged it in, that's what you're recording off of. If you want the next step up and you have $100 to spend, I would say let's spend that on a new microphone. Let's do that. And there are a couple out there that I know that people use, the Blue YETI and the Audio-Technica 2020, AT2020. Both of these mics have USB options where you can just get a USB plug it directly into your computer, and for a lot of people, that makes a lot of sense. Minimal equipment and just a direct line right into the computer. You don't have to think too hard about what the equipment setup is like, and it's gonna be, like I said, around $100 to get you started in those. Now, just a couple of things to note. If you want a fancy swing arm stand like what I showed you during the mic segment that we did for this show, then that's going to cost more money. Shock mounts cost more money. There's accessories and stuff like that. But just the bare basic minimum, $100 should at least get you started on a condenser mic, around $100. Now, remember what I said about condenser mics. They pick up everything, so just be careful. Be careful with that, please. So we've got $300 to spend, and we already have a pretty decent mic, right? Fairly decent, pretty good, not bad. So one of the things that you may want to look into is new software. Maybe you've been using like Audacity. Audacity is a free program, works for both PCs and Macs. It does have some issues, but it is being used by podcasters now to record and edit tracks. Just something to note on Audacity. It is what we like to call in the industry a destructive program. So you cannot edit on the fly and try to undo things as you go. If you go too far through the editing process, there is a point of no return on some of the things that you will be editing. So if you are changing dynamics or the EQ or what have you, there may be some point where you can no longer undo some of the things that you've done. You can always upgrade to a non-destructive program for Apple, for all the Apple products. You're looking at GarageBand. GarageBand is pretty cheap and pretty nice to use, and non-destructive, meaning that as you add in effects and EQ and stuff like that, it won't actually change your waveforms at all. So you can just change those effects kind of as you want to. It's a lot more flexible, that type of thing. The next step up in Apple is, for Apple products, is going to be Logic. And Logic is a program, it costs money. It costs money, and it's going to run right into that $300 budget. There are other programs out there too that will fit into this type of a budget. We also have Adobe Audition. Avid Pro Tools is another possibility. Reaper for both Windows and Mac. We have Ableton Live, which I'm not sure exactly how helpful it will be, but it could actually work. And like Logic, like I said. So all of these different software programs are going to help you along the way. They are going to improve your studio. And as you approach that area of $300, you can actually start to afford some of that software that we're talking about. As with any software, it helps how to know how to run that software. You actually have to have the knowledge to go into it. So you have to start somewhere. I would recommend starting with like an Audacity or other. There are many other free or fairly inexpensive software programs that will get you started into audio editing. And all of those programs are pretty good, pretty solid. They do have their pitfalls. They do have their problems. So make sure that you know what they are, and hopefully it will fit into your studio. If you already have that software, or if you are happy with the software that you have, you may want to look at getting another mic. In which case, if you're doing an audio podcast, you might want to take a look at something like the Rode Podcaster, which is a dynamic mic. It costs about $200 at the time of this recording, and it looks similar to this guy right here. It looks similar to this guy. Not exactly, of course, but it looks similar. Now, a lot of dynamic mics as well will need one of these guys. These guys, it's an audio input-output device. Now, as we can see, we have the plug-in for the microphone. Right next to that is the plug-in for a guitar or a quarter-inch jack. We have a little switcher there and some outs, and then the USB out as well. So the USB just goes straight to your computer. And then on the other side, we have all the little knobs and for volume and you know, your headphones and all that kind of jazz. Pretty simple, pretty basic. And I think when I bought that, it was probably about $50 or $60. $50 or $60 should get you something simple. Now, of course, there are more complex ones that I will get into later. So we've either bought software, or we've bought a new microphone and an audio I/O and probably a mic stand to go along with that, and maybe even a shock mount for $300. So let's say that you have $500 in your budget and you've been doing this for a little bit now and you feel comfortable that you could spend that kind of money and have it go to good use. Let's hope that. If you have $500 and you are just beginning your podcasting adventure, you may have more dollars than cents. That's all that I'm saying. For $500, you could get any of the stuff that we mentioned before. right? So if you hadn't gotten your software update, you can get new software. If you haven't gotten a mic upgrade, you could get a new mic for a couple $100 plus, maybe some other stuff. Or you could go where you're getting something like the Shure SM7B, which is a pretty expensive piece of equipment. It's nothing to sneeze at. And like I said in the microphone segment, that is probably as much as you would ever want to spend for a microphone for podcasting ever. In the foreseeable future, I don't think that you could ever outperform that mic in a podcast. So let's say that for this example, for this $500 example, you have an upgraded mic to maybe the Rode Podcaster, maybe a little bit more, and maybe you want to upgrade this dude because you have new software and the software has multiple outputs and you want to put that to use for your stream, for the guys that you're recording with, because you want to have the guys, you want to have music, you want to be able to talk to those guys while the stream is going, playing music, and they don't hear that music and blah, blah, blah. We'll get to audio routing in just a little bit, I swear. But let's take a look at some other things that you could spend your money on. Now, one of the things that I always recommend, headphones. Get a good set of headphones. A closed back pair of headphones will work best. These are Bose, but it just doesn't matter, okay? It doesn't matter what the brand is, whatever your favorite brand is, try them out in the store. You're probably going to be looking at for a solid pair of closed back headphones. You are probably looking at over $100. You're probably looking at around $150 as far as it goes for new headphones. Why closed back headphones? It's to make sure that the sound does not bleed back into the microphone. You don't want to hear yourself twice on your podcast. So make sure that you have closed back headphones in order to, stave that off, to make sure that your audio is not leaking back into your podcast. Another thing that could actually work, and again, it depends on your setup, earbuds. Good earbuds are also going to be, vital for some of you guys, especially if you have like a video show. Now, again, these are Bose. I'm a Bose guy. I can't help it. I'm sorry. But it doesn't matter what your favorite brand is. If you have a favorite brand, you should look for a pair of earbuds that are comfortable and, again, won't leak sound back into the system. And these guys really won't. The nice thing that I like about these, just to show you a little something, and this goes for those guys that are maybe doing a video show. So what I do for the video shows that I'm in, I will actually put this behind my head, and then I will put them into my ears, like so. And then, as you can see, it's still coming back around. I will actually loop it over the back of my ear on both sides. There we go. And then cinch up the back so it's nice and tight against the back of my head. Now I won't get any cord pulling. No cord pulling whatsoever. It's just my head moving back and forth. And it works out really well. And then when I'm just kind of out and about, whatever, I can put them in this way, mow the lawn, whatever I would need to do. It's totally cool. Now, I know you could spend your money on other things like a video camera or cords and cables or a new computer or speakers or whatever you want, really. It's your studio. But those are just some ideas on places that you could go. And again, it's going to depend on what you want to do and where you want your tech to take you. One huge thing, try before you buy. Go down to your local musician store or wherever you are going to pick up this tech and try it out. Or if you're buying it online, make sure that they have a really good return policy just in case you try it out and you really hate it or you can't use it or whatever the case may be. Make sure that those return policies are in place and use them if you need to. Hopefully this video has helped you guys think a little bit more clearly about budget and about what you should expect for those different budget prices, right? So for $100, $300, $500. You should know what kind of equipment you probably would like to look into. And the last thing I want to leave you with is also the first thing that I said. People will forgive bad tech as long as the content is there. You have to make sure that content is king. Make sure to plan your show first and then use that tech as a tool to get you where you want to go. So if you guys have comments or questions, please leave them below. Right down there. And I definitely read them and I will answer them as I can. Or you can email or you can tweet me or get a hold of me somehow. You probably know already. I will leave you with that. Hopefully this segment has helped you think about your studio. I really hope it has. And I will see you next time inside the studio. Bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye.